Welcome to our AI in Action virtual series. This is our final session for 2025. And wow, do we have such an incredible next 90 minutes for you. We have four incredible speakers who are each going to bring unique perspective and resources to help you imagine how AI is reshaping the way we live and work and play. We have some resources for our educators, for our business community, for our community leaders who are imagining what this looks like. And we're so excited that you're here. Our educators are coming in strong. What hats are you wearing today? We're going to go ahead and get us started. I want to remind you that the resources for today and the resources that our speakers are sharing today have been added to our hub. Our resource hub is at the ncwtech.org/AI in Action website. And there you'll find all of the speakers from our AI Expo that was back in August, and then the sessions that were in September, October, as well as today. There are frameworks and strategy documents. There are classroom-ready resources. There are podcasts and additional resources, and those that will be shared today will be posted there as well. And boy, do we have some resources to share with you today. I'll pause and thank our AI EDU sponsor, the grant that was provided to be able to provide this learning series. And then I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is joining us from code.org. Katie Finnegan is the content manager for code.org. And code.org, if you're not familiar, is a nonprofit that's been dedicated to expanding access to computer science in schools, increasing participation from a number of groups that are underrepresented, including young women and our youngest elementary learners. Code.org is maybe most globally known for the Hour of Code movement, which has reached tens of millions of students today. And today, Katie's sharing how their Hour of AI, launched this year, is going to build on that legacy and introduce students and communities to foundational AI concepts through engaging age-appropriate activities that really emphasize both ethical use and real-world impact. She's going to highlight some of these free resources and tools, and I know a number of you are hosting Hour of AI events in December and throughout the year alongside our STEM networks, and we cannot wait to hear from Katie. So please join me in welcoming Katie.
Hi, thank you so much for that introduction, Sue. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with slides. All right, those should be displayed now. As Sue mentioned, my name is Katie Finnegan. I'm a content manager at code.org, where I help develop AI literacy resources as well as manage partnerships across various projects. So today I'm going to be walking through the why, the what, and the how of empowering learners for this age of AI that we're in now. I'm going to share more about our various AI education resources, particularly an AI literacy framework we're developing, and of course, the Hour of AI campaign with opportunities to participate there. As Sue mentioned, code.org is a nonprofit dedicated to the vision that every student in every school has the opportunity to learn computer science and artificial intelligence. And we do this through a variety of means. We create free, high-quality curriculum. We provide teacher training. We support policies that bring computer science to classrooms around the world. And we lead these global movements, campaigns, initiatives that rally the education ecosystem around this vision. Now, something that you may have noticed from this slide, in comparison to what Sue has just said, is that we have expanded our vision to also include AI as a key piece of this vision that we see for students in every school. And I want to dive into the why behind that decision and why now we are bringing AI education into the conversation. This study comes from the Vodafone Foundation. They surveyed adolescents across Europe and found that 74% of them believe that AI will play a significant role in their professional lives. Less than half think that their schools adequately prepare them for AI. 44% perceive their teachers as well prepared to work with AI applications, and right around half worry that AI could widen gaps in academic success among peers. This range of emotions and perspectives are all grounded in this need to understand the implications of AI in our personal and professional lives. And that is why we are integrating AI into these conversations around not just computer science education, but education as a whole. Code.org has been involved with AI education for quite some years, notably through this initiative that we co-lead in partnership with ETS, ISTE, Khan Academy, and the World Economic Forum called Teach AI. Teach AI's mission is to create the enabling conditions for education systems to thrive in an age of AI. And we focus on four goals with this joint initiative, which include adoption of national and local policies to support teaching with and about AI, increasing the capacity of educators in this space, education leaders amplifying and implementing effective approaches to AI, and having the shared vision and language around AI education. When we talk about AI education, we think about both teaching with AI and teaching about AI. Teaching with AI involves using AI as a tool for teacher support, student learning, or school operations, whereas teaching about AI involves understanding how AI works, which includes concepts across various disciplines, especially computer science. We believe that AI does not replace computer science. Rather, it depends on it, and that teaching about AI piece is crucial to that message. And as we all probably know, there are both many potential benefits and risks to integrating AI into education. AI has the potential to support educators with content development, differentiation, assessment, personalized learning, and hopefully saving some time. But it also has the potential to perpetuate misinformation, reduce agency and accountability, compromise privacy, and overlook cultural differences. Navigating these benefits and risks fall under this broader umbrella that we call AI literacy. To define AI literacy and the knowledge and skills that we want learners to have to thrive in an age of AI, we've partnered with the European Commission and the OECD to create a global framework that provides guidance on what students should know and be able to do in relation to AI, both in their schooling and in their daily lives. And thus, we've crafted this definition of AI literacy, which is that AI literacy represents the technical knowledge, durable skills, and future-ready attitudes required to thrive in a world influenced by AI. It enables learners to engage, create with, manage, and design AI while evaluating its benefits, risks, and ethical implications. A variety of organizations have been doing great work in the space for many years, and we have built off of those efforts to create this definition in service of offering a concrete and comprehensive picture of what learners should know and be able to do. You'll notice in this definition that we call out technical knowledge, durable skills, and future-ready attitudes. In this framework, we dive into those components. The knowledge section covers the technical underpinnings of AI, along with explanations of its societal and ethical implications. In this section, we really aim to demystify the technology itself by explaining what AI is and how it works. We also have a skills section that highlights human skills like critical thinking, collaboration, creativity that we've been working on with students for years. And we reposition them in the context of AI. So when we talk about creativity, a uniquely human skill, we position it in relation to AI by thinking about how AI can enhance our ideas and help us brainstorm while humans remain in the driver's seat of that interaction. And finally, the attitude section introduces key dispositions that we hope students take on when they approach AI, such as having a responsible, innovative, empathetic mindset. We take all three of those components, the knowledge, skills, and attitudes, and channeled them into 22 competence statements. These are meant to show when those pieces come together and students are interacting with this technology through these learner expectation or learner outcome statements. So this is one of those 22 examples. Decide whether to use AI systems based on the nature of the task. And we can see that technical piece being drawn in as it draws on a learner's understanding of how AI works to make an informed decision about use, problem solving being essential to making this decision, and having an innovative mindset to how students are approaching AI. We also support each competence with a primary education and a secondary education learning scenario to illustrate how these might look in the classroom. And you can see we have two examples here for this competence as well. So as I mentioned, we ended up with 22 competences, and we organized them into 4 domains that categorize the different ways we interact with AI. The first of these is engaging with AI, which involves students using AI as a daily tool to access new content, information, or recommendations. The creating with AI domain consists of collaborating with AI in a creative or problem-solving process, like brainstorming, prototyping work, considering our relationship to collaborating with a tool, for example. The managing AI domain requires intentionally choosing how AI can support and enhance human work. There's a tie to a lot of project management type skills here, thinking about, okay, I know AI could help me automate this task, but I really need to focus on this component of the work I'm doing because it requires creativity and an ethical disposition. And finally, the designing AI domain empowers learners to shape AI through hands-on exploration of the data used by AI models, and engaging students in those AI design decisions. This is really the ethos of a lot of the work code.org has done in computer science, getting students to have those hands-on exploration of technology. And it involves a lot of data literacy and design thinking skills. Just to share a couple more examples of competences to give you a picture of how we are thinking about AI education. The engaging with AI domain includes competences like recognizing AI's role and influence in different contexts, evaluating whether AI output should be accepted, revised, or rejected, and explaining how AI could be used to amplify societal biases. In the creating with AI domain, we see competences like using AI systems to explore new perspectives and approaches that build upon the learner's original idea, and collaborating with generative AI systems to get feedback, reflect on refined results, and think about the actual thought process behind what we're creating. As I mentioned, we have one primary and one secondary learning scenario to illustrate each of these competences. These are meant to really help teachers determine which competences are best suited to their classroom and perhaps where there's natural opportunities for integration of AI literacy into the curriculum. A lot of these primary education scenarios do not require technology to do. We want to make sure that we are accommodating various levels of tech access in the classroom through this framework and want to be very clear that AI literacy does not always have to involve interacting with an AI system or technology at all. There's opportunities to understand how this technology works outside of just interacting with the system. So we just conducted a global review process of the AI literacy framework. And we received a lot of positive feedback from it. A lot of users appreciating its practicality, how illustrative it is, its relevance to this time we're in right now. But I would say the number one question or feedback that we get is, hey, this sounds great, but how do we get there? Where do we start? And I want to first say that we do not see one teacher as responsible for all 22 of these competences. Rather, AI literacy should be woven throughout the curriculum with certain aspects, such as the designing AI competences, fitting really naturally into a computer science classroom, or the engaging with AI competences, maybe fitting well into a high school English classroom. So we do not see this as something that should be siloed into a separate class, but rather woven throughout an already pretty busy, packed curriculum where it makes sense for there to be a connection. We also have implementation resources that we're developing to help teachers integrate AI education into their classrooms, such as these ethics flashcards that propose different dilemmas to bring to your students to talk about whether a use of AI is ethical, as well as expanded learning scenarios that are subject specific. In addition, Teach AI has created a multitude of resources since it was created in 2023, such as a guidance for schools toolkit meant to support school leaders in creating policies about AI use. We have guidance on the future of computer science education with various recommendations, policy resources, all kinds of stuff available at teachai.org. And of course, code.org has been creating AI curricula for years, and this can all be found at code.org/AI, whether you're looking for a full course called AI Foundations or just standalone lessons or units. We have many resources to support you in integrating AI into your classroom. However, I think that the best place to start in bringing AI into your classroom is the Hour of AI. In one sentence, the Hour of AI is a bold new initiative to demystify AI for 25 million students, educators, and families. We have a catalog of introductory activities meant to help learners understand AI and create with it. That can be integrated into your classroom at any point. Now that this catalog is up, it will remain there forever for you to pull from at any time. And this is all in service of creating this movement that is the world's largest and most inclusive AI learning event. As Sue mentioned earlier, code.org has run the Hour of Code for over a decade. And in that time, we've served 1.85 billion hours of code in over 180 countries, which is pretty amazing. But as we all know, and as I shared earlier in this talk, AI is transforming how we work, how we live, and how we learn, which is why we are making the shift from the Hour of Code into the Hour of AI. With this evolution, we are going to continue to lead with this message of empowerment. We do not want students to be passive consumers of technology, but responsible creators and active decision makers with it. Just last week, we launched our Hour of AI catalog with over 100 new activities. Something that is different about the Hour of AI in relation to the Hour of Code is that this time around, everyone is a learner, meaning that we also have activities for adults in our catalog, namely educators, parents, and community members. These activities can be filtered by age on the left-hand column. We also have filters for level of technology in the classroom, topic, language, and more to help you find the right fit for your community. This catalog is available at hourofai.org. There's a lot of great activities in there, and I highly recommend checking it out. We've had a variety of partners such as Microsoft, Google, Khan Academy, Scratch Foundation, and more submit engaging hands-on activities. And there's a really great collection in there that I, again, highly encourage looking at. As for key dates, Computer Science Education Week has historically been when the Hour of Code has taken place. It will continue to be a big moment for the Hour of AI, where schools around the world will participate in an Hour of AI event. That being said, that catalog continues to live on, and it does not have to just be in December when you interact with this catalog. We have countries that are running national Hour of AI campaigns in 2026. We have partners that we're working with at National AI Literacy Day in March to bring Hour of AI activities to students. And we really encourage you to bring AI education into a point in your classroom where it's the best for you and your schedule. So it does not just have to be December. It's a great time to participate, but it's not the only time to participate. And we just invite you to make AI education a year-round learning experience. So I know I've shared a bunch of information at this point about AI literacy and education, and now I really want to hone in on ways to get involved and bring AI learning to your community through this Hour of AI campaign. If you are a school or a district, we encourage you to host an Hour of AI event. we have a web page that walks through all the different steps of registering for the Hour of AI. We ask that you register for our tracking purposes, but also so that we can provide support as needed. For example, there's a box to check if you're interested in having volunteers support your Hour of AI event. And it's not something we can guarantee, but it's something we can try and help support if we know that you're interested in that. So that's one way that the forum is helpful for all of us in the Hour of AI. And again, we have this catalog. We encourage you to use an activity from the catalog in your Hour of AI event, whether that's during CS Ed Week or a different point of the year. And if you're an organization on this call and you're interested in becoming a part of the Hour of AI, we invite you to be a partner in this movement. Right now, we have over 400 organizations that are partnering, which is really exciting and helping us bring AI education to communities around the world. The baseline ask here is to help us amplify the reach and spread the word about the Hour of AI. We provide a toolkit to make it as easy as possible and ask that you share the Hour of AI with your communities, whether that's social media or an email thread or newsletters or really whatever channels make the most sense for you. Additionally, you are also invited to host an event for your community, whether that is using an activity from our catalog or if you're interested in doing something more custom. We have some organizations that are hosting professional development sessions or panels with AI experts. So there's some wiggle room there depending on what you want to offer your community. There's also opportunities to get involved in our policy and advocacy work, as well as provide financial support, although that is by no means a requirement. There is no fee to be a partner in the Hour of AI. So for schools and districts that are interested in getting involved, we have a bit.ly link that'll take you right to that events page. I'm also going to share all of these in the chat once we're done, so it's easy to access. Organizations, we ask that you fill out a really quick form to indicate your interest in partnership, and we follow up with resources. And everything that I shared about the Hour of AI today can all be found on our website, hourofai.org. I just want to say thank you for your time, for the work you're doing to bring AI to your communities. We hope that you'll join us, and hopefully we have some time for questions. I know I talked for quite a bit, but just a big thank you. And please follow up with me over email if you want to talk more about any of the resources I shared.
It's such an incredible organization and the framework. You've got some affirmation about the domains being so helpful in organizing some of those AI skills that students need for the future. And 100 different activities is an incredible repository. There is a question on here asking which one you might recommend. Which one's your favorite so far, Katie?
Oh, I feel like I'm partial to the code.org activity called Mix and Move with AI, where students are using block coding with AI assistants to generate different, like a dancer and different moves, and also remix music, which is really cool. Minecraft, or not Minecraft, it's Microsoft has a great activity too that is a variation of the Slither game that I've heard great things about as well. So I'm going to shout out those two, code.org and Microsoft.
It's awesome. There's a question here about how parents can support their kids with digital and AI literacy. Is this a resource that parents can actually go in and access as well?
Yes, so we have a filter on the left-hand column for ages. There's one that's specifically for parents. And one of the resources that I'll shout out in the catalog is an AI Literacy for Families toolkit created by Common Sense Media and Day of AI with a series of videos and guides to help parents have these conversations with their kids. So I would say that is a great starting point for bringing these conversations into a family space.
And what about, there's a question here about resources being available in Spanish and English. Do you have multilingual resources available yet?
Yes, we do. So the Hour of AI catalog, there is a language filter. Spanish is on there as well as a bunch of other languages, and it'll show you all the activities available in Spanish.
I love this. And then there we had a vibe coding demo last month, and there's a question about, do you have any resources for kids who want to learn more about vibe coding?
Oh, I know there's one in the catalog. I'm trying to remember who created it, but there is both it's either a lesson or unit at code.org/AI about coding with AI, and there is definitely activities in the catalog too. So there's a search bar on that Hour of AI catalog, definitely type in vibe coding and there's going to be some that pop up.
I just have to tell you how much fun it is to pepper you with questions, and you are on it. You are so such an incredible resource. All right, so my last question here, and there's a question that came in that's talking about some families are going to have concerns, and they're worried about the impacts on the job market. Are there resources here that can help us have some of those conversations about preparing for future opportunities and maybe addressing some of those concerns?
Yes. Related to the Hour of AI, I know we have a parent handout letter with suggested language to address those concerns. But more broadly speaking, that is where I'd really recommend checking out our resources at Teach AI, specifically that Guidance for Schools toolkit that walks through both, yes, the positives, but also the concerns of AI in our futures, whether that's the future of learning or the future of the workplace. And recognizing that AI education is not just about using and operating a tool, it's really about understanding both the benefits and the risks. And the framework also provides some guidance for that too. So I'd recommend going to Teach AI and going through those different resources to find guidance on those topics.
I think the empowerment and the responsible creators are two of the things that I will leave this conversation with. I really appreciate all of the resources that you're sharing and the work that you're doing. And I hope we get to touch base again in the future after some of these hour of AI events take place and we all get to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me today.
Thanks so much, Katie. I'm going to transition us to our next speaker, which is also bringing us an incredible resource, but with a story that is too good to not share with you all. I want to introduce to you our friend and colleague, Nick Ellingston, who is the startup ambassador with the Washington Technology Industry Association, WTIA, here in Washington. And Nick's been working for years alongside startups and alongside technology leaders from across the state. And he has a secret talent that he's sharing with us in that he's able to take some of these really complex ideas and has translated them into children's books. And he's got a new book, and I asked if he would come and tell us a little bit about the idea behind this new book and how it came to be. Hi,
Sweet.
Nick.
Hey, thank you for the intro and thank you for being the first and so far only stop on my book tour.
I love it. Where to
Um,
start?
so I'll throw some links in chat. A little background on me. I work for the Washington Tech Industry Association, like Sue said. Run startup accelerators. Have run probably about 30 startup accelerators. Worked with about 1,000 startups globally. About 500 or so through accelerator programs. 350 in Washington that have now raised around $500 million, and then a bunch of others in Korea and elsewhere. When I'm not working with startups, my job, and I loved what Katie was talking about with literacy. A lot of what we're trying to do around emerging technologies is increase literacy and fluency around AI, Web3, and quantum. And so I've been working in Web3 for 7 years or so, quantum for 4 or 5, and AI, I don't know, AI's kind of always been there, but started Seattle AI Week. We just did our second Seattle AI Week a couple weeks ago, had about 80 events, 5,000 people or so across Seattle. Sue was in town. I gave her one of the books, and here I am now. um, Background on this was basically I wanted to learn image generation. I've always liked writing, but I'm bad at drawing, and so I wanted to learn. And I've done a bunch of vibe coding and played around with AI for years, but specifically, I like having some sort of creative outlet in addition to all the sort of random tech stuff I'm doing. I have god kids, and all my friends' kids are in the like 2 to 6 range, and so I figured, why don't I do this ABCs of startups to start teaching my godkids and friends' kids about entrepreneurship. After I did that, then doing an AI one seemed kind of fun as a way to really break down some of these topics into just theoretically at least lessons that kids can understand. So far promising based on the texts and pictures and videos I've gotten. And then I'm also working on ABCs of Web3 that'll be out in the next few weeks, and then ABCs of Quantum. That one's a little bit less accessible for kids, but I'm trying my best. And then also doing a little startup that could sort of parable similar to the little engine that could, but more startups and going across Mount Pitch a lot to go to unicorn land. Um, and yeah, I wrote everything with getting feedback from ChatGPT, and I've tried ChatGPT, Gemini, OpenArt, a couple of these. I landed on ChatGPT, though we'll probably be moving to Gemini before too long. Um, the first book, The ABCs of Startups, took forever because there's a lot of fighting with the image generation and getting consistent characters. But the ABCs of AI probably took half as long, and the other ones have been trucking along. So I put a bunch of links in chat. I put the two books that are out now, kind of the next three that are coming, also my LinkedIn link, and then also just a blog post I just published today or last night, but in the last 24 hours, kind of recapping Seattle AI Week and the themes that came up and some of the opportunity for Washington. I don't know if everyone here's in Washington, but I assume at least most. So those are at least my opinions on AI that are in that blog post. But yeah, happy to take questions. This was very much just sort of a fun passion project. It's something I've always kind of wanted to do, but I can't draw, and hiring an illustrator seems like I have to spend money on that. Whereas this was, I've paid for my chat. I haven't sold a ton of copies, but I've sold a couple hundred and across author copies and on Amazon, and so at least pays for my Chat GPT subscription. But happy to take questions, or you have an idea for the next tech ABC that you want. But Web3 and quantum are coming out soon.
I love this. I think, first of all, you are brilliant. And the ability to take AI literacy vocabulary and make it accessible not just for kids. This is a really empowering opportunity for adults as well. I don't know about you, but I've
Yeah.
learned some things from children's books. So I think it's such a great medium. It's engaging, it's beautiful. I did get an advanced copy. And we have a special announcement today. Do you want to make a special announcement?
I'll share kind of what it looks like, and I'll let you make the special announcement because I don't know all the fine print of said special announcement.
The fine print. So what we've done is actually we had some budget with our AI EDU grant to get some materials for you all. And so we've ordered some copies of the ABCs of AI by Nick Ellingson. And if you fill out our form and tell us about your AI Hour of AI event, we will send you a copy of this book for your libraries. And so we've got those on order. I don't know that they'll get here right before your event, but we will make sure that your libraries have a copy of this book going forward. And it's an incredible resource. And maybe we'll be your next stop for the
Yeah.
next venture in
And
your
it's free for you,
series.
so rate 5 stars.
Yes.
And I will say too, yeah, definitely I've had a bunch of friends that are not kids, who've looked at this and learned some things. So it's when people have asked kind of who's it for, it's a mix of sort of help kids learn, but also novelty gifts for entrepreneurs or techies. And then certainly for folks who are looking for an entry point into this technology, uh, I've used the books that are out and a couple of the other things to walk people through like the basics of quantum and the basics of some AI terms. Um, and I will say going through this cemented my learning because there were times where I'd be like, "Hey, ChatGPT, like give me some ideas for a stanza here around a foundation model or something," and it would give me an answer, and I'd be like, I don't think that's not what a foundation model is. And so as I went through this, it cemented a lot of my conceptual knowledge around AI because I was fighting with the AI around like, hey, ChatGPT, you're not getting it right, which is weird, but
And you
um,
remind me to kind of point out for folks who are not noticing that this is an AI use case. You used AI tools to be able to write and illustrate and share these important literacy terms and topics with your audience in a really powerful way. So it should be something to remember and share for those of us that are capturing those AI use cases that do a lot of learning with that.
and yeah, to echo, I mean, Katie's used some of the words that we've used, but I agree 100% with what she was saying. Like literacy around these technologies, AI is super important, but quantum's coming next. Web3 is going to stitch all this stuff together, at least in my opinion. And so good to know kind of, you don't have to know, what superposition is for quantum computing, but you should have some sense of why quantum computing matters and the value it's going to provide. So, um, anyone who's interested in learning about that stuff, I'm happy to take time and walk through it. I like nerding out on this stuff, but another +1 to not just AI literacy, but emerging tech literacy, because it's going to affect us all. And we should build the future that we want to have, plugging my blog post. And the only way we do that is if we actually understand what the technology is for, what value it creates, and what it actually does. So recommend everyone taking some time to just play with it. I think that's the cool thing about AI is you can just go play and ask it how to do stuff and it'll teach you. And it's not always right, but this was just brute force trial and error how I figured out how to get to these final products.
Well, thank you so much, Nick. I cannot wait for you all to get your copies of the book and let us know what you think. And thank you so much appreciation for the work that you continue to do with WTIA as well.
Yeah, thank you as well, and hopefully see some or many of you at Flywheel next year.
Yes, definitely. All right, I'm going to keep moving us forward. I'm going to welcome doctoral candidate Alex Liu, who is our next guest. And we have an opportunity to do a little bit of an interview with Alex because Alex is coming at a really neat intersection. She represents really the front lines of AI research and product development, but also some educational strategy. She's also on the ground floor of an AI startup with Colleague AI. And so when I saw the recent publication that she posted, I invited Alex to come and talk to us a little bit about that intersection of all of these roles. And so, Alex, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, welcome. We're so excited to hear from you. You, as I mentioned, are at a really neat intersection of the AI landscape. You're actually not just observing this change, you're kind of helping to shape it. You have a role in academic research, and that's kind of where I want to start is what does AI academic research look like? You're in AI and you've done some recent research around AI policy. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and some of the things that you found?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me here to share. So my journey in academic research in AI and education that begins with identifying real-world problems that education stakeholders and policymakers face in their job and daily life. In our recent published AI open article, we look at how large language model can be used not just for content generation, but to identify themes and perspectives from the qualitative interview that we have done during the pandemic time with policy stakeholders. So the process involved iterative prompt engineering, human in the loop validation, and the triangulation with local policy context. So for involving large language model in semantic and sentiment analysis, our findings suggested using it with caution. So on one hand, it's surprisingly effective at surfacing explicit and implicit themes from stakeholders' voices in a very short amount of time. These tasks can be both time-consuming and labor-intense for human coders and qualitative researchers. On the other hand, a large language model in our study did not do well for sentiment analysis. Although better than lexical-based sentiment analysis, we found large language models tend to assign neutral and positive labels compared to negative labels. In the prompt that we clearly defined the negative sentiment in educational context, but by comparing the qualitative coders results and the large language models results, we saw majority of the misalignment occur in between the negative label and the neutral labeling. So the misalignment indicate that using the same instruction and codebook, our qualitative coders' domain expertise allows them to identify the negative perspective expressed by the stakeholders in education, while large language model was not capable of. So that led to the most important finding in our paper is to keep human experts in the loop when employing large language model for research tasks. So this study was complete in 2023, although it's published recently. But with the field advanced and more study emerged, it seems like keep human in loop is no longer qualified as the nuanced finding anymore, but it's still important.
Yeah, it's a really interesting pause moment for me because this research that was just out just this last summer actually was published first put to paper back in 2023. And so you've been waiting for that publication to hit print, but it's never been more relevant as far as using large language models for the creation of policy. And I love that you are landing on the same aspect that really Katie started with as well, that is keeping humans at the front, at the center, really helping to create the opportunity to work alongside LLMs and AI tools. Um, I want to move into really your second lens, and that is you've been working as a strategist and a builder for an AI startup called Colleague AI. I know we've had prior opportunities to learn alongside some of the founders for Colleague AI, but for those that maybe aren't as familiar, can you tell us a little bit about what Colleague AI is doing and maybe share us some surprising moments that you've had in building a tool that's designed for educators?
Colleague AI is an educational platform that serves as a knowledgeable colleague for educators and a learning buddy for students in K to 12 education. So we help educators from lesson planning to assessment to grading, with of course teachers' oversight of everything generated on the platform, and we also support students with AI tutor and then provide feedback. So nowadays, Collegia is a pretty comprehensive K-12 learning platform, and we are funded by National Science Foundation and also IES of the U.S. Department of Education. Yeah, so back to my role in Colleague AI, for the most surprising, I would say it's probably not surprising moment, but it's more of a empowered moment, was realizing educators interpret of support. So it's way beyond just ask AI to generate materials quickly or grade students' work for them in the sense of saving times. Rather, many of them express the needs for the tool to really support their instructional practices and deepening their pedagogical thinkings, and eventually that can lead to positive student outcomes. So as developer, we need to value educators' agency and professional expertise they exhibit while they are using the tool. So as part of the research team, have been bridging the educational needs from our piloting and then testing studies with researchers to communicate that with our tech team, and so make the platform not only focus on innovation and development, but more on teacher and learning.
I think it's so interesting, as you're speaking, and what occurs to me is that your Colleague AI, at least the startup, you're using really important understanding about educators and what's important to them in pedagogy and in curriculum development and their best practices. And then you're also using research from the front lines about what AI and LLMs are capable of doing. And you're trying to bridge both of these things and build something that's useful. That's often, oftentimes when we have something that's really grounded in academic research, it can get a little philosophical. How do you do both of those things at the same time? Have you learned some lessons about translating AI theory into a product that's usable?
Yeah, so the biggest lesson learned is that research findings are like a research evidence that can give us some credibility, but usability earns trust. So we knew that from our study, our teacher needed AI to adapt to their context and support their teaching practice, but it's not just the delivering answers and generate content that led us to build tools that can really support them in that needs. So we built in nudging and the recommendation system within features, and also professional learning and feedback loop among the features, so that allow us to provide more than just a static output. At the same time, we have been consistently hosting pilot studies and the co-design studies, testing new features and existing features to make refinement to make it more user-friendly.
Yeah, you really have to ground that in the practical use. Have you had some surprises in what educators come back with, or has it been a pretty good
Oh,
shot so far?
yeah, we do have surprises. I will share some like a pretty surprise moment for us is we have the in document AI tool that you can have the AI. You can have the like the documents generated or uploaded, and then on the side you have the AI chat that have the context of the documents, and then you can working on the conversation with them. And then we also have the like in-text editing. You can just highlight the paragraph you want to edit and then just input the request for AI and then it will generate the content for you. So for the in-text editing AI tool, we were calling it in-text AI command. So for us, this is like a perfectly makes sense making name. It's like totally fun until like we heard like many feedback from our educators saying like this does not make sense. This like a name sounds like a engineer's name that they come up with. So yeah, we are currently working on renaming that feature. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have had an opportunity to see a colleague AI demoed, and I can totally appreciate what you're talking about. For those that have not had that demo, colleague AI gives you an opportunity to, I would say, you kind of get to have a little chat with your lesson plan, where you can ask it some questions and you can interact with it, as opposed to a static resource. And I can see how calling it a command might make sense for the designers who are grounded in that academic research and not make sense to a teacher who maybe doesn't understand what that looks like. So that's a pretty understandable difference of perspective. It's really, really great. Well, I want to take a couple of questions if we have a question from our audience. And we do. There is a question here that says, do you have recommendations for a teacher that's just starting to explore how to use AI? Are there prompts that have been really helpful in that colleague AI platform?
Yes. So if you search the Colleague AI website, not the website, the YouTube video, I will provide you a video on prompt that basically a training that we provide to school districts, and then we make a video for serve the public knowledge purpose. And then this video walks you through some like basics about the prompt, like give it a role and then be specific about what you are asking AI to do, and then also be specific on what kind of output you want. For example, like give me three warm-up activities for a high school mathematics classrooms with students prior on knowledge on this, and then they are working on that, and then the output should be formatted as a table, something like that. Just be as specific as possible. Yeah, so for more details, it's all in that video.
That's super helpful. I think you've got, as I said, if we had more time to be able to explore all of the different perspectives that you're bringing to this moment and this work, you're a pretty remarkable leader. I mentioned you're a doctoral candidate, which is for those that are not in academics, that's a really big honor at the University of Washington, really at the front lines of developing these spaces and the AI tools for education leader to leader, because you're speaking to a lot of classroom leaders, community leaders, business leaders. What do you hope our attendees are thinking as they navigate this really historic moment in AI?
Well, thank you for the cat framing of the question. I can hardly claim the role of the leader in the field. Have been like getting feedbacks from our educators, our partner school districts, and I have been learning a lot from the field. So just for me as a researcher and developer at this moment, I'm thinking about a call for humanity and clarity. So AI is moving fast, but educator just ask about the margin in speed. They are asking for sense making and effectiveness as the developer, for me, I feel like stay clear on what AI can do. One is helpful and one is not that helpful, and how that matches educators and the students' needs, and what kind of support that we can provide outside the platform itself to make the platform more helpful. For example, at Colleague AI, we have designated education success team to go to school districts to do the PD training and support for educators to using the tool both about AI and also teaching with AI. So in addition to that, we AI can augment and or extend what educators do, but it cannot replace the relationship, the context awareness, or the ethical responsibilities educators bring into every classroom. So I feel like in our current stage, keeping educators' voice in loop and in future development is not just a wise choice, it's non-negotiable choice.
I love this. It's yet another call for maintaining that connection to humanity and
Yeah.
and really centering, at least, as deeply entrenched as you've been in AI and in the development of these tools, to have your confidence be that we need the experts. We need the teachers in the classroom to be leading education. We need community to be leading in community. We need our businesses to bring their expertise. So you're still needed as subject experts for ethical use and to maintain humanity.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we are so excited for you and look forward to hearing updates about Colleague AI and your future success as you transition into this industry role from your academics. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to introduce our final speaker today. It's a special one for us, for NCW Tech Alliance, that is. Our final speaker today is Joel Graves, and he is the Senior Business Program Manager at Microsoft. He's also an incoming public servant here in North Central Washington. He'll be serving on the City Council in Moses Lake in the coming year after the most recent elections. He's also a member of the NCW Tech Alliance Board of Directors and volunteers his time and ideas and energy behind the scenes as part of our nonprofit work and leadership in the region. He actually has a background in communications and in leadership in Washington State and worked alongside the Washington Roundtable to improve all sorts of outcomes for Washingtonian youth as they transition into careers from education, and these are passions of his. So Joel is working to empower our businesses with technology. And as we close out our learning session for 2025, we wanted to spend a minute thinking about some of those enterprise solutions and asked if he would come and share some insights about the way his team is turning AI into strategy and real field impact. So he'll be spotting some of the Microsoft Service Sales solutions and some agentic solutions that were built with the Copilot Studio and delivered through the M365 Copilot, which is also now through the Microsoft Elevate, available to our schools and our college students. And so welcome, Joel.
Hey, thank
Hey,
you, Sue, and thanks for the great intro. And it's great to be here with everybody. I'm actually in Redmond. I'm on campus today, and I'm excited to share a little bit, as Sue alluded to, about AI in action at Microsoft. So I'm going to ask if you can see my screen in just a second. Hopefully it's sharing. Is it sharing okay?
we're sharing.
Great. Well, Sue, you did a great job introducing me, and it's just a privilege to be here on the backs of some awesome presenters, Katie and Nick and Alex, and for all the inspiring work that you're doing with AI across multiple dimensions. It's very, very cool to see, and I love this AI in Action series um, because we all can embrace AI in many, many different ways. I know we have a lot of, I was like mostly educators on the phone today, and I'm going to try to make this relevant for everybody that's on the call. And hopefully you'll learn at least one thing that you can implement into your day to day. But I'm just here to share a bit about what AI in action looks like at Microsoft. And there's three topics that I'm going to cover today. The first is just around sort of broad AI marketing transformation here at Microsoft, some things that we're doing to leverage AI in our flow of work. I'm going to showcase, as Sue mentioned, a use case on an agent that we built to help upskill our sales force earlier this year. And then I'm going to do a live demo of Copilot Studio, and we're going to build an agent together so you can see how easy it is to do so. So I'm not going to spend much time on me because Sue did a great job, but I have been at Microsoft for 6 years. And really, when I explain my job to people like my mother, who really has no idea what I do, but I tell them that I take our enterprise support and service offerings to market. So I own the narrative for our hero offer, which is called Microsoft Unified. And I really have the fun and wild job of supporting about 1,000 field sellers around the world and 5,000 account managers who are selling to and supporting our enterprise customers. When we think about AI marketing transformation at Microsoft, it's been quite a wild ride to be sort of customer zero, to be at the center of everything that's happened with the generative AI over the last 2 years. And there's been a lot of, I'd say, paranoia about Gen AI, what it would do to various roles, how it would change the work that we do every day. A lot of panic, actually, is what I've experienced from people that I talk to, colleagues around, hey, we're not using this fast enough. We're not implementing it into our everyday work. And so I just want to share a bit about how AI is changing the work that we do as marketers here at Microsoft. And when we think fundamentally about what we're trying to accomplish with AI in the marketing world, it's really around two things. It's about creating more innovative customer experiences. So increasing engagement and ultimately driving more revenue for the company. And then number two is marketer capacity, which is, handling all of us at Microsoft are being asked to do more with less. We're rolling out new products faster than we ever have before. I work not on the product side, but on the services side, and we roll out new service offerings all the time to support the products. And so increasing capacity is always of interest to our organization, trying to drive, significant revenue growth. I mean, we're the size and scale of Microsoft is quite remarkable, and we're still trying to grow at a pretty incredible rate. So the more that we can free up marketers' capacity, the more likely it is that we can acquire new customers and drive more revenue and focus on more strategic activities. And then ultimately, we're trying to, through reduction or increasing capacity, we're trying to gain efficiencies and reduce costs. And really, when you think about generative AI, marketers are a really great use case. They're the best group to take advantage of AI. And through both of these things, more innovative customer experiences and greater capacity, will be able to drive more business value for the company and better outcomes for customers. And when we think about the approach to generative AI, I think that there's been a lot, right? So there's so much potential for disruption and concern about not moving fast enough. And I appreciate the way that Microsoft has taken a methodical approach to rolling this out. So it really starts with a big vision. And the company rolled out many small projects that were eventually brought together end to end. With any major transformation, you always have to organize teams to support the new path with things like center of excellence, bringing engineering along. And then the agents that we've built are all trained on a very specific set of first-party data that we want them to be experts in order to help our customers, our marketers, and our sales force. Number four, defining guiding principles and standards like responsible uses of AI, always with security first. And then finally, enabling our teams so that they have the skills that they need to succeed and change. And, I've appreciated the sort of thoughtful, structured approach that Microsoft has made. Of course, things move at an incredible pace, this company. But this approach has helped us to make sure that we're not moving so fast that we're missing steps. And I love this quote from our chief marketing officer, Takeshi Numoto, about driving a focus on AI at every level through three AI practitioner pillars, which are using it every day through Copilot, building AI solutions into our processes and into our technologies, and then focusing on how we communicate to our customers. And hopefully through this AI in Action series, whether you're an educator or a nonprofit leader or a small business owner, you're learning that this is about evolving our craft over time, and it's not going to happen by accident. You must be committed. You must participate actively. All of you are doing that by joining this series. So lots of different elements that go into the world of marketing at Microsoft or at any company, but particularly with a company of our size and scale. And I just wanted to share some of those pilot projects that were launched in sort of late 2024 and into 2025, which have allowed our company to test and refine strategies before the full scale implementation. A year ago, there were 9 key areas for development, and the company took a look at 5 of them and started with things like personalized customer experiences. So customer-facing chatbots on websites, content creation. How can we leverage AI to get content created faster and streamline the content development process? All of our marketing operations, the way that we implement tools and processes to help marketers move faster. All of these and more were part of the sort of 2025 development categories. And then the second half of 2025 and into 2026, we'll focus on critical areas like taking our content, which has to be global and localized and translated, and figuring out the right way to do that while maintaining accuracy. Structuring our approach around campaign planning and management, personalization and targeting, enabling more one-to-one personalized customer experiences, and then overall marketing process improvement. So the company's taken a phased approach and helping us achieve significant improvements in our overall marketing processes. So with that in mind, with that context and that background, I want to get a little less theoretical and I want to get a little bit more practical, because I believe, and I think that the more that we can knock down the perceived barriers about adopting and using AI, the more we can make it real and easy. And the more likely that all of us and our organizations will be able to see the value in AI. And so I want to share just a use case, the services sales agent. So this is a what let me just give a little bit of context before I go into the solution. There was at the start of our fiscal year, which started in July, there were some pretty massive organizational changes that took place at Microsoft, particularly in our sales force. And in July, we had 900 sellers who had at least 50% of their role change. And we weren't really equipped for this. And a lot of what I do, as mentioned, is helping sellers understand how to articulate the value of our offers. I build a lot of content. I do a lot of sales training. I do a lot of objection handling and things like that. We weren't really equipped for this size and scale of change in our workforce. So we had to figure out how to build training and enablement in a hurry, so that many of us weren't just becoming human info booths, so that we could scale. And so the solution that we talked about and started ideating on is an agent that could be used to supplement all the work that we were doing to train, so that sellers could get easy questions answered and could at least start building the muscle of learning about our support and service offerings and how to talk about them with customers. And when we started digging in, we learned that it was surprisingly simple to stand up, to train, and to roll out a services sales agent. We did it all from ideation all the way to global rollout in 6 weeks. Probably could have been done faster in retrospect, but it was the first time that we were doing this. And so we were all learning, and we had some hiccups along the way, but overall, it's very uh, well received, super strong usage. It was of huge demand because there were so many new sellers who just wanted sort of an on-demand agentic experience like this, right in the flow of work, which is exactly what the services sales agent was intended to do. And it's really forcing us into thinking differently about the work that we do as a marketing team. And there's really a big paradigm shift going on that we're working through as an organization, which is that, as a team, we build a ton of sales and marketing content. And we spend a lot of time building PowerPoint decks in particular. And so, you know, over the last 5 years, if you see a problem out in what we call the field, right, out in an area where a seller says, "Hey, I don't have content, or I don't know how to talk about this particular problem that we're experiencing. We have a lot of competitive threats in our business. So, okay, we have a new competitive threat. They're coming after our customers. We need to create a new deck that a seller can use to talk about how we're better than this competitor or how we're different from this competitor." And so we build deck on decks on decks, hundreds and hundreds of decks, and weeks of work, rounds of reviews, and a whole lot of energy that helped sellers but was inefficient. So now, kind of what we're doing is let's make sure that if there's a competitive threat, that we get information fed into our agent and equip our agent so that that agent has the right level of information to support our field sellers when they come with questions or needs. And so it's an entirely different operating model that allows us to be way more agile. And I don't know that we're going to get out of the business entirely of creating sales presentations and PowerPoint decks, but this is how we're starting to think. And I imagine if we're starting to think that this way, that there are a lot of marketing teams around the world and sales enablement teams that are thinking the exact same way of agent first experiences. So that's the use case. And I want to take a risk, Sue. I want to do a live demo because I really, really passionately want this audience on the phone to understand how easy it is to use Copilot Studio and to build your own agent. So I want to do it live on the phone. Is that okay? Can we do that together?
We're here for it. Yeah. So
Okay.
exciting.
All right. So I'm going to show you, and look, I'm not an AI expert by any means. I'm like all of you, just learning how to use these things. And I think that you can understand to an extent sort of how it works by watching somebody talk about AI, but to see somebody actually use a technology to build an agent or to create some other AI workflow, um, I think it's really helpful, and it will show you hopefully by the end of this how simple it is to do. So what you're looking at right now on my screen is Microsoft 365 Copilot. I'd love to know if folks are familiar with this, if you've used M365 Copilot. As Sue mentioned, Elevate Washington is part of that initiative. Copilot Studio will be released to school districts across Washington and community colleges as well. So we're going to have to get familiar with Copilot Studio. So this is what you'll see when you're in Copilot Studio and you click on all agents. This is what I see. I see a list of all of my agents, that services sales agent that I mentioned. You'll see a list of all of the sort of agents that are built by Microsoft. And there's agents for many, many different use cases. In fact, I saw a statistic or heard a statistic today that by the year 2028, the IDC predicts that there will be 1.3 billion agents created by the year 2028. So we're going to see a proliferation of agents, and you'll see why. It's really easy to create. I'm going to go up here to this Create Agent button, and I'm actually, Sue, I'm going to create an agent that will help future NCW Tech Alliance board members on board.
I'm here for that too. That's
So
exciting.
that's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to try to free up time for Sue and Sarah and Walter and the other folks who build the onboarding program for NCW Tech Alliance. And they do a great job, by the way. The whole team at NCW Tech does an amazing job at it. We just want to free them up. So when you click on create an agent, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a chat box that looks like this. And that's how you start. This is the way that it's intended to start. You can also start with a template down here. There's plenty of templates that you can start from if you want sort of a pre-built one and customize it. But we're going to start from scratch. And so I'm just going to say, help me create an agent that will onboard new board members to NCW Tech Alliance. And that's how I'm going to start. Just a simple prompt. And we're gonna start a chat experience with my bot. So it's gonna ask a few questions. It's gonna ask if we want any particular SharePoint sites or web pages to be included. I'm gonna have it use the NCW Tech Alliance website and LinkedIn. And then I'm also going to, if you give me a second, I'm going to add in one of the things that's great is that you can take a SharePoint site or a folder on SharePoint where you have content stored. And I've downloaded like things like the employee handbook. I've downloaded all sorts of board materials, and I've put them in a special SharePoint folder for purposes of this demo. And so I grabbed the link, and so I'm going to add that as a link. These are going to be the three sources that we're going to start with, all those documents in the SharePoint library, and then the NCW Tech website and LinkedIn. And we're going to see what comes back. Again, this is risky. Live demos are risky. Okay, it's confirming that they've been successfully added. We're going to say, call this the NCW Tech Alliance, NCW Tech onboarding, if I can spell agent. And whenever you want, by the way, right now we're just in the chat experience, but I'm going to show you in just a second that you can, we're going to go into configure. So we're going to hit this little configure box right here at the top. And you're going to see, hopefully your mind will be slightly blown away by, oh man, hang on a second. See live demo, it's risky. Hang on a second. So wait a second before. Okay, see, this is why a live demo is risky, because when I was doing this before and testing this out, it had the description all filled out, it had all the instructions filled out, inferring all the information based on what I entered and based on all the source documents. So that did not happen in this live demo, but it's okay, because if you're going to do it on your own, you're going to experience something a little bit different. But I'll just go through sort of the rest of this, which is that you can, if you're in an environment where the overall scope and accuracy is very critical, you can toggle that on here. If you're, for example, at a law firm and you want to make sure that your agent uses only specific sources when it's providing answers, you can select that, or other use cases as well. It will pull information from your organization's what we call graph. So if you want to reference people in the organization, you would toggle that on as well. There's many other data sources that you can use. You can see that it has those websites that we selected. It has that SharePoint folder that we selected. This is actually a brand new feature that I think was just rolled out within the last week, which is that you can create documents, charts, and codes. So if you toggle this on, then if you provide a prompt and the agent comes back with something around like, would you like me to create a Word document or an Excel file? And you hit yes, it will actually generate the code snippets that you can use to copy them directly within those programs. And I don't know why, for example, I don't know why this is being a little funny. But I'm gonna try something here and we're gonna see how it works because part of this is that you really want to test it out before. So I'm gonna ask it to give me an elevator pitch. Oh, it's not working for some reason. I don't know why. Hmm. Well, okay, we're gonna hit test. We're just gonna put in something in here. And we're gonna see if we can try it out. Okay. I'm just gonna try out one prompt we're gonna see. So I'm gonna ask it to give me a 30-second and 1-minute elevator pitch about NCW Tech Alliance, one for a potential member recruit, and then one for my 70-year-old mother. And we're gonna see kind of what it comes up with, and then we're gonna give it a thumbs up or thumbs down based on the result. Hmm. Hmm. Sue, what do you think so far?
I mean, these are pretty fantastic for 30 seconds there.
This is the one I'm particularly interested in is the one for my mom. NCW Tech is a local nonprofit that helps our community keep up with technology. We teach kids and adults about computers, support small businesses, make sure everyone has access to digital tools. It's about making life easier and creating opportunities for people right here in North Central Washington. I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty great.
That's pretty good. Once you're ready, and by the way, so once the one of the keys to this is training your agent. So giving it a thumbs up or thumbs down. If you don't like the result and you hit the thumbs down button, it should pop up with, feedback form like this, and you would type in information to correct it to get better over time. And then once you're ready to create it and launch it, roll it out, you hit that create button up here, and it will create your agent. It takes a second, and then hopefully, if it works, it will allow you to either, you can hit this share button and you can share with specific users in your organization, or you can share with anyone in your organization. There's also a way within Copilot Studio to launch it externally, but we won't go into that now because we want to keep this simple and easy and straightforward and basic. So I just want to say thank you, and I just want to leave you all with a thought, and the thought is around like AI is democratizing uh, intelligence and information. And what does that mean? Let me see. Hang on one second. What does that mean? It's about making advanced knowledge, insights, and decision-making capabilities accessible to everyone, and not just experts and those with specialized resources. Breaking down it's about breaking down barriers so that everyone can solve problems big and small. And so I guess my advice or my ask of all of you would be just to embrace the journey, the learning journey, put on a growth mindset and see what AI can do. And Sue, I want to say thank you to you and the rest of the team for the opportunity to share today.
It's incredibly courageous, and you're getting lots of affirmation and love for trying a live demo in front of our closest friends and network across the state. And it was actually surprisingly straightforward and simple, the kind of thing that you could do for a first time process. And I love that you can do some training with your agent on the backside and tell it why you liked or didn't like, and you can refine the documents that are in that repository. So I think a super effective demo at that. Thank you so much, Joel.
Thank you, Sue.
I'm going to move us on in the attempt to wrap us up on time today. I actually have a couple of questions for you all. And the first one is just a scale. Give us a pulse point here. After today's session, how confident are you feeling with AI tools? So we'll pop the Mentimeter back in. If it's been a minute and you navigated away from it, head back over to the Mentimeter and tell us about how you're feeling. Hopefully you're feeling a little more empowered today. And while you're filling that in, I will make sure to thank our AI EDU who generously sponsored our learning series. And I'm also going to thank our STEM network partners who are hosting professional development clock hours. And many of you are having conversations in the off weeks with some of the learning communities. Hopefully you've got some new things, new content to be able to go back and chat about. And I know Joel mentioned our NCW Tech Alliance staff who have been behind the scenes, making sure that the series is engaging and informative and actionable. And they are living out our mission to make sure that you all have the resources and the connections and the skills you need to really fully benefit from AI tools and technologies. Nice. And we advance a slide here. We've got a couple of open-ended questions. First, I'm curious, what's your biggest takeaway from today? You had a chance to hear a little bit from Katie about some of the incredible catalog of resources that are open to you all, whether you are a parent or an educator or a community leader, to go in and explore AI literacy with code.org. You got to hear from Nick, who used AI to create resources to share AI literacy across the state and beyond. On his very first book tour stop, you got to meet Nick, which is great. You got to hear from Alex about the front lines of AI research. You got to hear a little bit about Colleague AI, which is a platform that is working to build that nexus between experience and AI. And then you got a first ever demo on the bot or the agent that is going to onboard our future NCW Tech Alliance board members and Joel's 70-year-old grandma. Oh, mother.
Mother. Yeah.
I made you a little younger.
You did.
And we need to build that agent that helps me figure out how to get my kids in bed at night. You know, answers all their
Oh, sign me
questions. Can
up
we
for
build
that.
that
Yes.
agent?
It's actually a great idea.
I'm
Oof.
Thank
Yeah.
you all so much. And then our AI in Action series will continue in the spring. We are actually planning to relaunch the series in February. And so as we do that, we would love to know, as if you've been alongside us for just this session, or you were here from the beginning back in August, what would you like for this next session? Do you have suggestions for topics or speakers? Let us know what you think. We're going to pause here for just a second. And for those of you who missed the sign in right at the top of this session, stay tuned because the next slide will give you a chance to sign back in to make sure you get credit for being here. But I will pause here. And while you all are giving us some ideas about what you want to see, I will thank our speakers again for joining us today. And thank you all for giving us your time. And lots of affirmations in the chat. I love that. Oh, you all have some good ideas here. More demos. You want more demos, more bold, courageous demos. And that will be the end for us. And we will sign out for today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been so much fun to learn with you all this fall. And we look forward to seeing you back in February.